What's up, guys? It's Lizzy Jean, and we are back with another episode of the podcast. Today, I have my girl, Maddy O'Neal, joining me. This is her third time on the podcast, which officially makes her the most hosted guest on the Lizzy Jane podcast. We did a tour at the beginning of this year and hit the mountains in Colorado. Shout out Colorado fam. We hit Frisco, we hit Avon, we hit Steamboat Springs, and then we started on this bootleg that then became an official original record with Moons, and we put it out a few weeks ago. It's called Back to Now. It's off her upcoming EP, and you guys please go stream it. She's been absolutely killing it, and it's been such a pleasure to watch her really come into her own from the first time we chatted almost, oh my gosh, like 3 years ago. So I'm so excited to host her today. If you didn't catch her yesterday on my show on Insomniac Radio on Impact, the XX Transmission, you missed a killer guest mix and a little bit of this podcast that you're going to hear now. So let's just hop into it. Sending so much love to Maddy and big thanks for her for being here today. And there's so much that we can learn from her journey. And I hope every DJ, producer, industry professional out there can take notes from her journey and, apply them to whatever current state that you're in. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear this convo. This is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into the Lizzy Jane podcast featuring special guest Maddy O'Neal. Maddy O'Neal, how are we doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm super happy to have you kind of sitting back in the remote chair today and host you on Insomniac Radio. And also, this is your third time coming on the podcast, so it's been quite a journey. Yeah, 3 times, which is crazy.
Wow, okay. I didn't even realize that.
I know. Right? It's crazy because I think back to us and the first time that I had you on the podcast, I just moved to Denver. And then the second time was like a huge growth period for you where like I think everybody just started to see this like crazy glow up, which was like 2023, almost 2024. And now we're 2 years down the road and we've done like a tour together. And I feel like we've developed a friendship and it's really exciting. And you have just been up to so much. So let's just like hop into it. I'm thinking Shambhala. I'm thinking your like river adventure. You have a new EP coming out. So I just want to hear what you've been up to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this year has kind of been a whirlwind. It was like it started out, I was on like 4 different tours, with Of the Trees, Daily Bread, my own mountain tour, and LSC in the beginning of the year. And then like as soon as I was done with that, I was like, oh, I started to feel a little crazy because I wasn't in studio mode and I had just moved to LA and my studio wasn't set up yet, and I had all these ideas that were just kind of floating in space. And so, like, as soon as those tours were done, I like sat down and like wrangled everything, turned all my ideas into an EP, which is finally done and coming out in September. Obviously, because the first single was our track, Back to Now, which I love so much, and I've been starting my festivals with it, my festival sets, and it's
Yes.
like such a vibe. So that is out, as you know, specifically.
We love it. Yes. I'm sorry,
We
this
love
is great. We get promo and we get Maddy promo, and it's like perfect. We're hitting all of the rocks.
Yeah. So that's exciting. The second single is coming out on the 19th. It's called Pay No Mind, and then the 5-track EP in September. Corresponding with my Red Rocks date, doing direct support for Big Gigantic, and it'll be super fun homecoming for me coming back to Colorado after moving. And yeah, I just got back from Shambhala last weekend. I actually was not actually on the lineup. I played last year and we were gonna skip this year, but my partner had 6 clients on the festival and I was gonna be there. It was part of our road trip. We were just gonna go anyway. So I just told them, I put the word out that I was gonna be there anyway, if any, renegades popped up or whatever, and they booked me for a Madhouse, like the pre-party, which is a new stage. It's the second year they've ever done it, and it was probably one of my favorite sets I've ever played in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was like it was one of those moments where it's like everyone is it's like there's one energy in the room,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
Like nobody's like talking, everybody's like super into it. It was just like such a vibe. Like there was like bubbles everywhere. It felt like really magical.
That's incredible. I feel like Shambhala is one of those festivals that everyone obviously like hypes the fuck up. They're so excited for it every year. So you kind of got that free Shams like energy like all
I
to
got everyone's
yourself.
fresh energy too, which was awesome.
Oh my God. That's so freaking cool. And I feel like you've definitely, I've been talking to a lot of artists recently and then just people in general about like living in the present versus like focusing on, especially in like the age of social media and the world that we live in, like I'm doing this to gain this opportunity or I'm doing this to look ahead and be forward. And the last thing that you're thinking about is like being in the process and like experiencing things in life. And you I'm sure it took a really long time for you to get the balance to do it. And you also have great boyfriend, good support system, all of that stuff. You like lived life and toured at the same time, which I feel like literally nobody does. So that's very cool.
That was actually the coolest part about that. The last month is that we planned a road trip and I just popped out and did what I needed to do and then like met him back wherever we were. And, part of what I've really leaned into and finally am learning to that is so important is like to that you have to nourish your life and have those experiences. You can't get like consumed by like the hustle and the grind because that will like destroy you and it'll
Mhm.
burn you out. There's nothing to be inspired by if you're not living. You know what I mean? So like I've been really nourishing my personal life on the back end of all the grind and the hustle and the work, and it has been such a game changer for me just, like, health-wise and spirit-wise, and, like, you don't have the energy to show up and be your best version of yourself if you're not doing that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's kind of, like, part of the inspiration behind the EP too. It's kind of like entering that era where you completely own the space that you're in, whatever that is, take up
Mhm.
all the space, like listen to what's going on and like nourishing all parts of yourself. I had like a weird I guess it wasn't weird, but I had a meeting with a psychic, like an astrologer psychic. It
Okay.
was a gift for me and one of the pieces of advice that they gave me was, you don't have to choose this or that. You expand everywhere all at once. And it was like this, you can do it all. You just have to you know. So, yeah, just like leaning into that mentality.
Low key, my therapist has been telling me the same thing.
Yeah.
Like very low key because I've literally been it's so interesting and like you and I have had obviously some really personal conversations, but it's like you can't feed one part if you're not like feeding the whole. Like everything you literally just said is so true and when you're taking the time, it's really wild. I feel like a super shitty analogy is when somebody goes really really fast to get to the stoplight, but they really only get there like 5 seconds before
Totally.
instead of like
That's a great analogy.
like taking your time and like looking at the birds or the sky or listening to the song that you're listening to. Like when you, one, as artists, like you so hit a wall. I think when you get to a certain point, whether you're touring a ton or you're working on all these different projects or you're, I don't know what it is, but every artist I've spoken to who somehow crossed this bridge into maybe not making this like a full-time job, this is my only financial income, all that stuff, but they are definitely in that bucket of nationally touring artists or they're doing big work for other bands or co-production. They have this moment where they look up and they're like, my whole life is work. Like my everything is consumed with getting from target one to target two, and then nothing else is there. And I feel like you can do that, but then like the well eventually drains and you have like nothing, whether that's you looking around and you're like, I have no close friends or family or significant other, no recent experiences that have nothing to do with me, like being at a festival or touring or going to whatever. and then it just all dries up and it like hits you in the face. And I feel like if you don't find a way to deal with that and figure out how to find that balance, then it's really difficult. Like, it's so difficult to get to that next level of, like, enlightenment because I feel like the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. So, if like and we have just so, especially in America, capitalism, da 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 da, have focused on like the grind mentality, like the trend mentality. I'm gonna wake up at 5:30 in the morning and drink my $11 matcha and go to Pilates, and then I'm gonna work for 12 hours and I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it all again. And I think that there's a small breakthrough that's starting to happen, whether it's that trend mindset or that grind mindset, where it's like, just focus on the process and try and instill balance in your life. Because being like, I think being on either side of the teeter totter, whether you're like a surfer in Costa Rica and you're like, whatever, dude, life is rad and like, this is what I'm doing, or you're a CEO of like a financial advisor business and you put yourself before everybody else and you burn bridges and you think of that opportunity that you're creating, but you're not really like helping anybody else rise. Like, you have to find yourself somewhere in the middle. And I feel like it takes anybody a while to instill that. You've definitely been living it. And I love that you've been like sharing it on social media too, because it's so healthy to share. Like, I am an artist that is touring, but I also have a life and a boyfriend that I love and a dog that I love. And like, I'm also a human that wants to do human, natural things and experiences. Like, when did you feel that you like encompassed that enough to really step into the I'm not going to like look at everything that I do that makes me happy that isn't music related is necessarily like a sacrifice to my career?
Um, I don't really know if there was a moment. It's just been kind of like a slow process, but I think when I decided to like uproot my life and move to California, that was a big step in, making that leap towards making a move for myself personally. And it kind of shook up my routine and my mentality and, you know, I think that was a big moment, I guess. And yeah, just kind of like recognizing the more energy I put into different spaces in my life is I felt differently. I definitely started like a health journey much sooner than that, like probably like a year ago. And that was huge, prioritizing my health and realizing how much it affected my mental state and, staying healthy. Even like I challenged myself for the first time ever. I think I've been saying it for like 9 years. Like, I'm gonna work out on the road. I'm gonna bring my yoga mat.
Mhm.
Never fucking happened. And
Love
until
it.
till this year. And so I like brought my yoga mat on the Daily Bread tour and I did something active like almost every day. And I was like bragging about it every day because I was so proud of myself. I was like, hey guys, like just get done with yoga. But yeah, I was super proud, like just like instilling different habits and really paying attention to how you feel differently after you do them. And that can literally just be prioritizing your life and relationships and making more effort to stay in touch with your family or your friends or your partner, like creating moments for yourself and actually putting the energy into doing so because we know that this life will sweep you up. You lose track of time. You don't remember where you were last weekend, like it can be all consuming and you can get lost in the sauce very easily. So, slowing down and creating moments for yourself and being really like intentional about it, I think is really important.
100%. It's so wild because everything you're saying is like everything that I feel like I've started to instill in the last 6 months. And I've completely felt like, I don't know if there was one point where you felt like there just like wasn't like weight on your shoulders. Like, it just wasn't this like,
Yeah.
we got to get this done and we got to make this happen. And you kind of just step back and you're like, okay, I really think that if I was supposed to be somewhere else or something else was supposed to be happening, it would probably be happening. So just like focus, like just like focus in what you just said is like being in the moment. And I was just talking to someone about like what is really breaking careers in dance music right now. And it's really funny that you say that because he's quite accredited. And he said, it's shifted from this like palette of you used to just be able to really release really, really, really good music. And it would kind of take a longer path, but that would eventually kind of roll on to each other. And I feel like that's a lot of how like you grew as an artist and you have been through so many different changes and like chapters of how social media and media in general has like affected the ever growing artist. And he said what builds artists now are moments. And it's like very interesting that you said like being like in the moment too, because it's like he's like when people want to be a part of like this moment, whether it has something to do with music or it doesn't have shit to do with music, they just want to be a part of that moment. And if you can get all of these little moments to fill your cup up, now you have people invested in like who you are as an individual, and therefore they will be invested like in your art. And I feel like it's really hard to do that and like successfully do that if you're only doing it in like one discipline, which is like your passion or your career. Like you have to do it across the board,
Yeah.
you know?
That's a great point. It's a practice doing it for yourself in like the most natural ways.
Mhm.
Daily habits or this or that. But yeah, that's so true with social media. It's like creating those moments that do feel natural and genuine and that people can be a part of that or like actually feel an emotion from it when you're sharing it. You know what I mean?
100%.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
100%. And I feel like the EP, I thankfully listened to it a few times when you sent it over this morning. I love it. It's very Maddy. It's so Maddy O'Neal. So it's
I
awesome.
wish I knew, like, I wish I could hear that from, like, wish I could wipe my brain and hear what it sounds like to be Maddie.
It's like pretty bass music that has like moments. It just has moments where, like in our single, you kind of have the second break in each drop and it goes back to that like almost like UKF feel, UK early 2000s dubstep that like made me fall in love with dubstep. But then
I love
you
that.
only have girls on the EP as collaborators too.
I noticed that after the
Yes.
fact, actually. Well, Danny Underlux is on Mr. Bassman.
Ooh, okay, okay, never mind. Shout out Danny. Shout out Danny. But besides Danny, he
Yeah.
he is the only person who's not a female on the EP, which I also think is like really strong because you kind of have this like forced nature. You have all these girls that are absolutely like killing it right now, and then a lot of girls who are definitely starting to speak out and demand a little bit more respect and attention within our space. And there's a lot of guys who are giving that and supporting women in their own endeavors, which is super exciting. But I would love to talk about just like I would love to talk about the Zoska collaboration because she also is an absolute like I've seen her name for a really long time because she's from Florida, but it's so cool to start to see her get national like recognition. And then I saw her on the P and I was like, damn, that's sick because you guys are very like your sounds are very complementary of each other. So how did that track come to be?
I've worked with her once before on our track "Won't Back Down," which was just kind of a random single drop. Um, I forget how I met her. It was definitely in Chicago because that's where she lives now.
Mhm.
But, we had, like, a really good chat in a green room somewhere, and she, told me everything that she did, and I heard her voice, and, she's, like, classically trained and, like, loves, like, this, like, cinematic, like, super soulful sound, which obviously I resonated with. So, I was super intrigued after our first conversation. We did one track together, and I loved it, like, the flow and what we both brought to the table was very complimentary. So, yeah, I reached out to her when I was working on this EP. I was specifically looking for, vocalists and someone to bring that extra, you know, the level that I'm not a singer, number one, but she's a phenomenal producer too.
Mhm.
And yeah, the idea just clicked like right away. I think it was one of the fastest songs that came together, like, super naturally. Like, it's almost like we kept being like, "Should we pass it back again?" And I'm like, "No, I think it's done." Like, I think it's
Perfect.
that simple, that. So that was really fun, and that is a really powerful song to me. It's called Pay No Mind, and it's literally all along the um same theme as it, like, owning where you're at, like,
Mhm.
own like, take up space and kind of like this, like, I don't give a fuck era. I'm not sure if I can cuss on here, but
No, you totally can. You're good. No, I totally can hear that, and that's just like I literally feel like that's a vibe, like a consistent theme through the whole EP, like talking to you about like where you're at in your life and kind of how these songs came together. And I think that it's just super powerful because I also think that there's like just a lot of people who probably are chasing this dream or in the process of turning this from like a passion into a career or wherever they may be, and they're like it's not possible. There's so many people that go you're all in or you're nothing. Like you can't have that balance, you can't take up this space, you have to conform to what a label wants or what the agency wants, or like all of this stupid business stuff that takes away from the process of like what makes art and like what makes it beautiful, and that comes from like you kind of being able to turn your insides into something that people can consume. And I really want to focus on what you said with Zoska really quick because I've seen a lot of up and coming acts and just people who make killer music. I've had a ton of conversations lately of like the SoundCloud black hole crate digging is that there are so many incredible artists right now that have like 200, 400 followers making crazy flips, crazy bootlegs, and they just don't have like that brand or that image or that social media following to get to that like next level. You literally met Zoska in a green room and like you guys talked and hit it off, and then like she's been a part of multiple records of yours. How would you advise maybe like individuals or artists to maybe like approach other artists at events or approach other artists in their DMs if they feel like they could bring something like to a record with you, or even like sending out demos or whatever? Because I know there's like a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
yeah, I mean, just overall, everyone has their own path in this industry, and I've been around long enough to have seen everything change so much, So, like, you have to just, like, don't count anyone else's chips, number 1. That's, like, a side note. But I think that, like, you miss every opportunity, all the shots that you don't take.
Mhm.
Um, I think if you're wanting to work with other people or show people what you can bring to the table, come to somebody with an actual idea rather than just reaching out to someone and being like, you know, "I'd love to collab with you one day," because that's kind of like an empty ask. If you have an idea, you start an idea that might be up their alley or, have something to bring to the table that's like solid. I think that that's a really good piece of advice. And yeah, just reaching out to people. It can't hurt. Like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the worst thing that can happen is you start where you started, is like they just don't answer or they just say no or whatever. But so much of it is also like persistency, like just be persistent. And I feel like a lot of times, larger artists that kind of give up and coming acts the time of day or end up collaborating with them or they do a remix for them. It's a lot of times when they've sent them like so much music to play out during their sets. And then they're like, hey, let's make something. And like, hey, let's do something together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. There's a group of kids that I've been hitting up consistently because they're just making the hottest shit. Um, it was like AG, Extract, this kid Nephew, Buck 10, like all these. I think they're mostly from Boston, the Boston area, and Florida. Like you discover these people that are up and coming that only have like a certain amount of followers. They're making like the hottest shit, and once I find them, I keep tapping them. Like I'm you know, digging for festival season. Like what you got cooking? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like so once you get on somebody's radar, it's like it kind of opens up, you know, that more lasting relationship.
Well, how have you been liking California? I think even though the Denver to California, I feel like people literally move from Denver to LA or they move from LA to Denver very like often. I see that exchange a lot when people are like, I'm sick of this, I'm going somewhere else. Because both of our industries very much don't exist here. And I think that, I mean, you had lived in Denver for 10 years, right?
16.
16.
16.
Holy shit. So that's
Yeah.
such a huge change.
Very long time.
And you've been in California now for 4 months, 5 months?
I moved in March.
You moved in
So
March, not even. Okay. Yeah.
fresh. We're actually
my
throwing
gosh.
a big pool party in a couple of weeks as like my little welcome to LA. And what I'm realizing is LA is so spread out that you have to like again create a moment to get everyone together because everyone, lives in different neighborhoods and the traffic is a real thing. And
Traffic is a real thing.
it is a real thing. Um, so yeah, I've loved it so far. I mean, I've been in and out a ton. But my boyfriend is doing a really good job of like showing me different areas, um, and different things. He's like my job is to be your professional tour guide.
Yes. Oh,
Like show you what's up,
absolutely.
make you fall in love with the city. Because he fully loves it. So
There's so many like awesome kind of district neighborhoods outside of Los Angeles, like moving through LA. I feel like there's so much like untapped potential to things you can do. Like, but it's so different, obviously, than Colorado. Like, you couldn't probably get more different. Do you like the beach? Do you enjoy the beach? Like,
yeah.
what are things that you find yourself doing like often since you've been in LA?
Um, Well, there's so much to explore, so everything is exciting,
Mhm.
even just, like, driving to a new town and going to get lunch. But we're, like, 20 minutes from Malibu, so, um, that is awesome now that the fire construction is wrapped up, we can get to the
Mhm.
beach super easy. Um, Hiking, we can literally walk out of my house and go on, like, a hike. We're, like, next to Topanga State Park. Um
Ooh.
yeah, so for me, being a Colorado girl, nature is super important to me. It
Mhm.
makes me feel crazy if I'm not a part of it. As much as I travel, like I don't want to. I'm not a city bitch anymore.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah.
come home. I want to come home to like serenity and quiet and like you know, and I can get all the chaos in my travels or when I want to. Not
Literally feel that. Yeah, I very much so identified that when like the first time I started to like play a good amount of shows. I was just like, I don't want to live in a suitcase. I don't want to live in a shoebox. I need to have either like a partner or a home or whatever that I can come to and go like, "Oh, okay, we're good.
for sure.
Totally cool." Because I feel like also like writing music in that environment, I just can't do it. Like I need to be able to like focus and lock in. And you've been touring so much that kind of what you said was like you hadn't been in the studio for so long. When you finally sat down in the studio to start, yeah, to start like wrapping up like EP stuff and working on other demos and stuff to just kind of like all flow out of you.
Yeah, it did. And I remember like talking to people on tour, like Josh T, and I was like, you know that feeling when you feel just like out of your mind, like you like because you haven't like written in the way that you wanted to. It's just like little tiny pieces. You didn't get into that flow state. You didn't have enough time to really like settle into your thoughts. That's where I was at, and it felt really, really, really good. And that's why some people write a beat a day or whatever. Um, I go through like really, really intense spurts of like output because of scheduling and just because I love actually dropping into a certain state of mind to get somewhere. And I'm definitely more of an album artist than some people are.
Mhm.
I write bigger bodies of work, and that's just the way I've always been. So I think that's part of it too. But I'm always constantly starting ideas, gathering, notes and thoughts and inspiration pieces along the way so that when I do sit down, it's like, it's not like I'm staring at something blank. It's like, okay, I've wrangled all of this. Now let's make it make sense.
Yeah, like literally, let's just write something cohesive. It's really interesting because I've actually had It's so funny because if you talk to anybody at music business, whatever, like stick up your ass, they're like, albums aren't it. Like big bodies of work aren't it. Like you should be doing singles and da da da. And literally the last four conversations I've had have been all about people putting out albums. Like Enzo and Bluca, they have their album coming out on Friday, which is like a 14-track album. And then you're putting out a huge EP, which like now a lot of EPs are like 3 tracks instead of like the 5 to 7, which used to be an EP. And then Skybreak just like self-released an insane, I think it was 12-track album that he just said literally no label wanted it, and I put it out, and then he's gotten like attention from like Fred Again, Scream, Banga, Caspa, like all these guys from it. And I'm like, honestly, when I'm talking to the artist, all I kind of hear is go and write an album. And I don't know, it's just you're more invested, you're more passionate about it.
Yeah, and no hate to anybody. Again, everyone has their own path, but I think that if you look at longevity and the artists that are kind of like the timeless people have created more of like that have put out albums and created more of like a home base for their music rather than, you know, the more like sporadic single stuff. And that's just my personal opinion. And again, anybody could put out singles forever and do the exact same thing. But like I guess the people that I came up looking at, that's what I saw and that's what I was inspired by. So
100%. I mean, and I feel like it must be like wild for you at some point because uh, I haven't seen you haven't done a ton of stuff with Pretty Lights recently, right? Am I crazy? Have you been doing stuff with him recently?
no,
Okay.
I was not able to do Buena Vista because of my Red Rock.
Wait, that
I
hurts
almost
my
just
heart.
I almost just went just to hang out with the crew because
It looked so cool. It looked so cool. Well, like just focusing, we talk about this literally in every other conversation we've had, but like you look at Pretty Lights. You look at all of like the jam bands that kind of find that hybrid within like the electronic world and the jam band world, and like they live on albums. And you have been like able to not only continue growing your project, but also like put out a ton of bodies of work. I feel like from an outsider point of view, like you have obtained longevity just in the simple fact of like the graph and diagonal line going up as well as your discography like growing larger, which a lot of artists like that doesn't happen. And I think a lot of people now are so focused on the short-term vision versus the long-term vision. Are there any like pieces of advice or like tips you would give to the artist that like isn't obsessed with going viral on social media or isn't like trying to do something just to get a single to really like skyrocket? Like their goal is to be around for the next 10 to 20 years.
yeah, I mean, I actually had a friend of mine reach out to me a couple months ago and was just like, "This is random, but like I just have to say, it's been so inspiring to watch your career and see you still like rising and like steadily because of how things have changed so much and people are looking for that viral moment and people are blowing up overnight with TikTok. And this is somebody that's been working at it for years and years and years. And it's like, you give me hope that like that path is still out there. That's not the only way. And that kind of just circles back to the concept of everyone's path looks different, you know, and you can't count anybody else's chips. You have to just interact with the music industry as genuinely as possible to show who you are and what you're about, and that looks different for everybody. So maybe you have a moment, maybe you don't, but that doesn't mean that you give up, you know, or like bang your head against the wall on TikTok because you think that's the only way. You know what I mean?
100%.
I
Yeah.
I rarely use TikTok and I'm probably fucking up, but you know, I don't know.
But I just feel like you're the perfect example of what you just said. Everybody's journey is different, and there are ways to create your universe and like feel fulfilled. And like you obviously post on social media, but like you're not over here like posting 3 times a day or like doing this crazy stuff to like grow. It's just like an extension of who you are. And you have
I want to have a life. I don't want to live by my sentiments.
And that is something that, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, that is something that I struggle with all the time because it's like, I'm like, when I'm doing something really cool with my really close friends or my partner or doing something alone, like the last thing I want to do is fucking pull my phone out, you know? And it's like just doing things with like purpose and intention and realizing, because I think there's more people now than ever that are like, if I don't do it the social media way, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just, we're just not going to get from point A to point B. You totally can. You just have to be in it for the long haul and like really committing, I feel like, to like your vision. And I even see in like your project, I've never seen someone push merch like that hasn't been like a huge name like a Pretty Lights or like, you know, like an Millennium, like Slander, like you pushed on that fucking mountain tour. And like, it's such like credits to you because I think like in our world, like just we don't exercise the use of merch like bands do because like it is such an income driven, like it is such like a supplemental like extra form of income that I'm not sure why people don't take advantage of it. But I would love for you to just like shine some light on like how you've kind of like developed your merchandise program for the project, because I feel like it is such a deal where you can take it and you can walk away with hopefully a few extra $1,000 if not. And like in the world that we live in, that is like game changing.
Yeah. I mean, because I am more of an album artist, it's easy to get on the schedule of like, you know, you create an album, you build a tour around it, you build merch around it. All of those things, all the design and the branding elements are cohesive together. And it's easier to do that with like a concept, you know, than just with random bits of, you know, branding, which is also possible. That's just kind of the schedule that I've been on. And I think that my management, who's also Pretty Lights' management, I've seen this model work. And, you know, it is kind of more of like the jam album cycle, you know, that the world that I initially came from. And it's just kind of like the habit that I got into. And you turn your album art into, oh, I didn't realize that this AC was on this whole time. Is that
Oh, I can hear you. No, I don't even hear it at all. So sweet.
um yeah. So it's kind of fun. It's just like the process that has come to exist in my cycle. You know, we're building a tour around my EP right now and thinking about the next line of merch and trying to get more and more creative with it. Like we did the snowboard with Never Summer, which is one of the coolest things I've ever done.
So cool.
I yeah, we were gonna do a full line of them, but it was kind of too late in the season. Um, but yeah, like that was awesome, and hopefully we'll do like a bigger collaboration together. That was just kind of like a testing the waters and doing a collaboration with another brand like that. Um, but yeah, especially in Colorado, the mountain tour is where I see the most love on my merch for sure, because that's the home market. I've been doing that mountain tour for, like, as long as I've been making music. It was kind of just, like, in the backyard, and I would look forward to it every winter. So
House party vibes. It's so fun.
house party vibe. And
Mhm.
it's so funny because 'cause I've talked to some people that are, like, way too big for those rooms, and they're like, "I wanna do that. Like, how do I do that?" And I'm like, "Well, you just have to increase your ticket price and go do really intimate." I mean, that is the model right now anyways, is the more intimate experiences that you can create, people are really, really enjoying that more so than going to a stadium or this or that. So,
The pop-ups, they want the experience.
I will cherish that little mountain tour for as long as I exist.
I love it. No, it was literally so much fun because I was just like, it was I think it was the day after the Frisco date. The Frisco date, I mean, 10 Mile Music Hall 1 has no business being in a mountain town. Like, what a cool fucking venue. Like, it was honestly so much fun. And I had multiple friends who live in Frisco and they were like, I've never seen it that rowdy. They're like, it just doesn't get like that.
It that was wild, and Vale, the pirate ship,
Mhm.
remember?
Mhm. Literally, well, like, no, like, I think about that, like, conception of, like, that 48-hour period where I picked you up, we went to Frisco, like, the show looked like it was sold out. I have no idea. It was pretty much sold out. Crazy, sweaty
Oh,
room. Yeah. And then we were there until like, I felt like we were there until like 3 a.m. You were doing like merch. And then we woke up like 5 hours later in a snowstorm, went to Vail, snowboarded, and like crazy powder with your friends, and then ate oysters and then played in this like pirate ship thing.
Cruise ship thing, yeah. That's my favorite way to describe that place.
It was incredible.
Yeah. I don't know how we managed to snowboard every day too. Like
We did it in Steamboat.
I had also said that for years. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna snowboard on this mountain tour," and it's like, no way. You know, I maybe got like one day. When Duffrey did it with me, we got a day in at Winter Park.
Okay.
Um, but not every single day of the tour. That was ridiculous.
We sent it.
Good motivation.
We sent it. We were like, all right, let's fucking go.
It was also we had the best powder too. Like there was no way we couldn't get out. So that helped.
It's like we have lift tickets, we have snowboards, we must go. And it was great. It was perfect. The routing was perfect. Like the people who were there with us for everything was perfect. Like it was incredibly ideal. And yeah, that was just like one of those tours where exactly what you said. It's like in your backyard, but like you'll cherish it forever. But it's also like so much fun. And there's so much of touring that like isn't that much fun. And like nothing on that was no fun.
Yeah, the travel, it's like it's right there. You're driving around the beautiful Colorado mountains, you know. It's yeah, it's just
It's a very, very good time. And that's where our grandiose idea for the Flip bootleg remix turned into the premiere track on your new EP coming out kind
yeah.
of came to life. I feel like we were listening to like Smashing Pumpkins and then I turned on like Duran Duran or something like fucking weird. And you're like, there's a song that I always wanted to flip and it's the Back to Life by Soul to Soul. Yep.
It's been on my list of things to flip for like 2 years, and I was like, "Can you listen to this really quick?" I was like, "Can you do this with me? Can we just make this happen?"
and I feel like I'm so glad that we have because for people listening, and I've kind of talked about it a little bit, and then we have the remix and people play it on Insomniac Radio. So people have it programmed in their little shows, like the remix version. And I feel like it's perfect for like sets because originally, for people listening who didn't know, we took the acapella and then we were gonna try and get the sample cleared for the Soul to Soul, Back to Life, iconic song. Everybody knows it. And then it turned into an original with Moons. And it became this like whole other thing.
We could not clear the sample, and then, I was working on the rest of the EP, and Moons is my neighbor now.
Oh.
I had her over to work on our second song together, and I had a completely different song queued up to work on, and I was like, "Can you listen to this really quick?" I had just found out that we couldn't play the sample, and I opened that up, and she's like, "Wow, let's work on this." And we just knocked it out. Like, totally changed the lyrics, the whole vibe, and it was perfect.
It's
So
perfect. It's perfect. And it like literally goes along with the EP name, the reason why you wrote the EP. So I feel like, I don't know, it's very interesting the evolution of records sometimes. I'm like working on this song with a few other people that literally we started last August. And in my head, I'm just like, how the fuck did it take this long for this to happen? But there's all these like little things. But then if a really good record or song comes out of it, it's like all worth it. Cause like nobody knows, nobody knows how long it took. Nobody knows that it started as something and became something else. And I think that happens probably more often than not with a lot of records.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, things have their time, or like even collaborations, like people that I've talked about working with, it didn't work out the first time, or, the song didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. And eventually, when it finally came together, it was like, oh, that was the moment. That was, you got to trust the process.
Yeah, I feel like that was fucking sick. No, it was very cool, and we honestly, I feel like we executed it pretty well once we got it rolling, and
Yeah,
it's
fucking banger.
yeah, it's a banger. It's a banger. When I played it in LA, when I did the show with Brownies and Lemonade, I was like, I ended the track with it or the set with it because I think it had It just came out. Yeah, it had literally just came out, and I was like, "Here you go," and people were like, "Ah," it was like because it's like the heaviest song in my set, and it was a very, very cool moment, and that's cool to hear that you're like
Every song in your
starting your
set
set.
too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool that like you're starting your sets with it, so we kind of have that little encompassing. And then let's talk about you're coming home for Red Rocks with Big G. They're doing like they're bringing out a bunch of special guests, but like you're the only like official set on the show, right? So like are you excited? Are we planning anything special?
Yeah. Well, so it first started out that they were doing 2 sets, and I'm kinda sandwiched in the middle. I'm the only support act, which is a really cool model,
Mhm.
for them to do, like, a throwback set. I forget what the names of them are called, but, you know, and then they just added all the special guests. It's like Grammatic, Prob Cause, Cherub, Jennifer Hartswick. Just, like, it's completely stacked now, like, and all of those people are, like, my original homies from the industry. So it's such a powerful, like, full circle moment on top of how it already did. I have family coming out from California that have never, they've been talking about coming to my 90-year-old grandmother is coming out from San Diego to
Oh my
for the
god.
so that's really special. I'm the EP will be out by then, so I'm gonna be playing versions of those songs. I have a special guest coming out as well, to help assist in bringing those vibes together. Um, and yeah, I mean, Red Rocks is the ultimate mecca. It'll feel like such a great homecoming. I haven't seen my friends and there in a couple of months, so it's gonna be really special.
That's so exciting. And yeah, I definitely will be there. We got Big G management squad and then you. So I was like, we have to be there. That will definitely be a good check mark. It's always funny because I usually around this time of year I go, you really haven't like been to Red Rocks a ton this year. And then I always look at like the fall calendar and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be there like 20 weekends in a row if I'm home. And that's yeah, because every time you get through summer, then all of like the friends start coming and it'll be very fun. And then this will
September
be,
27th, by the way.
yes, September 27th. And this will be shortly before your fall tour starts.
Mhm.
So let's talk about the fall tour.
Yeah, doing a headline run this fall. I think it will be out by the time it'll be
Definitely.
out. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. We're in the
So
clear.
so it's up.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, go get
Yes.
it. You go get your tickets. Um, yeah, we're kind of going all over, just like doing weekend runs, fly dates, and I'm very excited about it. It's like some rooms that I haven't done, some classics. Um, yeah, going from Red Rocks, the EP, straight into that this fall is gonna be really, really fun.
Yay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I've got some other tracks that are coming out. I don't have dates for them. I did um really cool remix for a band that I'm not sure if I can announce yet.
And I think I literally know who it is.
I've got I've got some other tracks that are gonna be trickled out throughout the fall too. So I'm kind of just like about to put my foot on the gas. Just get it.
Good. Do you feel refreshed from your trip?
I do, yeah. I mean,
Good.
it's wild. I went rock climbing for the first time ever and like climbed like 1,000-foot mountain. Um, like
That's wild.
and we did a 5-day river trip where we were completely out of service for 5 days, like 0 service in Hell's Canyon, down the Snake River in Idaho. It was absolutely gorgeous. Like, I just when you do stuff like that, you literally feel like your soul is, like,
Mhm,
rejuvenated.
mhm.
Uh, and yeah, it was wonderful to be able to do that. Went to Sun Valley, a bunch of places I've never been. Um, and the drives were all absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't like, you're driving through Kansas to get somewhere cool. It was like everywhere we went was just like mountains, and through Zion. It was, yeah, it was really, really fun.
That's so exciting. Yeah, we're planning a trip to Yosemite, and I'm very excited to do that. Yeah, and that'll be cool. And I feel like I just want to yell into the void that I'm like, you can do it, individuals that are listening. Like, you can go live your life and do whatever you would like to do that doesn't have to do with networking and music and being in the studio. Like, you can totally do it.
You're not nobody's gonna forget about you if you, like, go have a moment to yourself.
No one's gonna forget. And I think it's also like just realizing that everyone is like their own main character of their own story. Like, nobody really cares as much as you think they care. So like, you might as well go and yeah, no one's gonna forget about you. No one really gives a shit about you. So like, go and just do what you want to do. And that's so exciting. And when is the EP coming out?
Um,
Do we know?
September 23rd. Let me
Okay. So literally right before Red Rocks.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that's
It's
exciting.
funny 'cause I feel like I've put out a record on in that week, like, the last, like, 3 years. It's a
Well, I feel like it's perfect before fall.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the 23rd. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So exciting.
Of Red Rocks. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So exciting. Okay, we've got yeah, you're ramping up the fall. You've got an EP coming out. First single is out. You, me, Moons,
Yeah.
back to now. Second single is coming out soon.
August 19th.
Okay, perfect. And then the whole EP is gonna come out. You have Red Rocks, and then you're gonna be going on tour. I am joining you on tour,
Yeah,
and which is super exciting, which is gonna be in Oregon and Salt Lake City. So we're doing places. Okay, it's out. I'm keep thinking in my head. I'm like, I don't know if I can say anything. It's Portland, Eugene, and Salt Lake City. So that's gonna be freaking super fun and awesome and really fun rooms. And then the year will be over and we'll be in 2026.
Yeah.
Just so crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
I just announced, EDC too. I'm doing my first cruise with EDC,
oh, that's so
and
exciting.
Orlando too,
You're doing EDC Orlando,
of my, fall tour.
EDC Orlando, you're doing EDC, and then you're doing Apocalypse.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Which is
Yeah.
in Long Beach. So that'll be I did, the Fonda in LA with Daily Bread, but that'll be my next closest to LA date since I've been out here. So I'm excited for that too.
Now those are like your backdoor plays, which you can just drive to, which is
I
so
know.
exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. We're coming in with the Insomniac crew strong this fall.
Yeah.
EDC Orlando is a ball. You're gonna have a really fucking good time. Have you ever played EDC Orlando before?
That's your stomping grounds. No, I haven't done it.
Yes. It's cool. It's definitely, in my opinion, like aside from it's so different, you can't really compare it to like a Halloween or Okeechobee, but like it is the pinnacle festival besides like Ultra, but like EDC Orlando, you get like the actual Florida crowd. I feel like Ultra is just very international. You kind of have a little bit of everybody. EDC Orlando was like the college festival. Like you're gonna everybody shows up early, everybody's like super positive and vibey, and it's a very, very well done festival that I would put like very close behind EDC Las Vegas, in my opinion. Like,
Sweet. Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard good things, and I'm also doing 2 sets on the boat. That's another thing that's been really fun for me is doing a lot of the Madhouse sets,
Mhm.
like doubling down on festivals, and having people recognize it more and more, like it's becoming a thing. And I still have original house music in the chamber, so that needs to see the light of day at some point too. I was just trying to get through this EP first, but I'll probably be dropping some of my first original house tracks at the beginning of next year.
That's so exciting.
Really, really fun because that's been on deck for a while. 2 of them are finished, just like sitting around. So, yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, we have something to look forward to. Is there anything else you want to kind of share with listeners? I feel like we covered everything, but if there's anything else that you're excited about.
I will be announcing my biggest Denver headline to date, which is slated for, February of next year. We'll be announcing that probably maybe at Red Rocks.
Ooh.
So that is really, really fun. Been planning that for a while.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. That's so exciting.
Tabs on my hometown crew.
Yes, you cannot forget about the Denver crew. I don't think that will honestly ever happen. You've been here for way too long. Yeah, that's so exciting. Yeah, literally just do it right at the end of your set. Be like, I'm coming home. Goodbye again. See you later.
Bye. See you then.
Yeah, see you then. I'll see you then. Hop on plane. I'll be back soon. And then hopefully maybe some mountain dates this year. Maybe running it back.
Yeah. Doing some outside of Colorado mountain dates. Like last year I did Jackson Hole. We did Kings and Queens of Corbett's, which was one of the coolest experiences ever. There's music. You literally DJ'd at the base of that competition. It's like the biggest cliff jumping competition in the US, I think. Like you're just watching these athletes like land right in front of you. So I think I'm gonna do that again. And yeah, Jackson Hole, riding that mountain for a week was epic. Um, one of my favorite things to do is build a ski trip into your mountain tour.
Oh yeah. We love it.
We'll get to the Colorado mountains too. It depends on the timing with that Denver play, but it's can't skip it.
Can't skip it. You can't skip it. Okay, sweet. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your new show. I love it.